Jane and her family moved into a cozy cottage for summer break. They were excited to spend time together in the peaceful countryside. But after 3 days, Jane started feeling strange whenever she looked in the mirror. She couldn't explain it, but something about her reflection seemed off. At first, she brushed it off as her imagination, but the feeling persisted, growing stronger each time she caught her own gaze in the mirror. It was like her reflection was staring back at her with a sinister intent. Despite her unease, Jane tried to ignore it and enjoy her time with her family. But as the days passed, the feeling only intensified. She started avoiding mirrors altogether, afraid of what she might see. One night, while everyone else was asleep, Jane couldn't resist the urge to confront her reflection. She stood in front of the mirror, trembling with fear, as her own eyes bore into hers with a chilling intensity. Suddenly, the reflection moved on its own, reaching out as if trying to break free from the confines of the mirror. Jane stumbled back in horror, unable to tear her eyes away from the grotesque sight before her. Just as quickly as it had begun, the moment passed, leaving Jane shaken but determined to put the incident behind her. Little did she know, it was only the beginning of a nightmare she could never wake up from. The following days were filled with a growing sense of dread as Jane struggled to make sense of what had happened. Her family noticed her unease, but chalked it up to the stress of the move. As the days went by, Jane's behavior became increasingly erratic. She would spend hours locked in her room, refusing to come out or speak to anyone. Her parents grew concerned, but their attempts to reach out to her were met with silence. One fateful night, everything changed. Jane's reflection in the mirror began to speak to her, its voice low and menacing. It whispered dark thoughts into her mind, filling her with an insatiable hunger for destruction. Unable to resist its influence any longer, Jane was consumed by a primal urge to kill. She crept into her family's rooms, her movements silent as she wielded a knife with deadly precision. One by one, she slaughtered her parents and siblings in their sleep, their blood staining the walls of the cottage. When it was over, Jane stood amidst the carnage, her hands trembling with the weight of what she had done. But as she looked in the mirror, she saw not her own reflection, but that of a sinister entity leering back at her. It had used her as a vessel to carry out its twisted desires, leaving Jane to bear the guilt of its atrocities. With a final, chilling laugh, the reflection faded away, leaving Jane alone in the darkness. She was left to grapple with the horror of what she had become, haunted by the memory of her own reflection and the darkness that lurked within.